Hello, friends. Today I'm going to talk to you on my second part of the video on the subject of as to whether there is a unity in diversity in India or it is just a myth. You know that right in 1947, when India was divided in two parts, there was allocation of the land to both the countries. Four times land was allocated to India and six times population came to India. That means the land provided to India was disproportionate as relating to population. So then in 1945 and 1946, when the Muslims of Indian side having decided for the creation of Pakistan, all of a sudden, when the time came for moving towards Pakistan, they took a decision that they will stay in India. So this was an extra population on the land. Uh, that time, Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru assured them that they will have the better position and that India will be their home as good as or better than Pakistan. Right immediately after Nehru becoming the prime minister of the country, steps were taken that there should be a preferences given in the political positions as well as in the administrative positions, uh, which were provided so that there should be no discontentment amongst the Muslims to heal the wounds which they have been having or have the perception of that one. So this was continuing for some time. The administration which was inherited from British also continued in the same way. The British administration was exactly the same like a rulers and the slave. This administration was there was no option actually to this administration because the time was too short, and at the same time, people in authority were in the habit of behaving that way, and the masses were also in the habit of accepting the instruction and the orders. Anyway, this continued that by providing certain concession to this community, there was some satisfaction and there was a contentment. But at the same time, the level of discontentment in the other side of the community were also developing, but it never was highlighted. But in 1965, when there was a war between India and Pakistan, the Islamic passion in India started growing up, or they started dissatisfaction, started uh, coming up, and this are showing up in one way or the other. However, many steps were taken to make it sure that the reservations are created not on merits but purely on the religious basis. Now, not only the reservations were made on the religious basis, but other kind of reservations were also created. So this moved the administration of the country to a different direction. Now, in the beginning, it looks very good to the people and feel more satisfied. But later on, it has got more serious and negative effect on the behavior or the mental setup of the people in the country. Now, not only it affects the mindset of the people psychologically, but also affects the productivity and the economic activity as well. Now, this 1971 came. Now, in 1971, the Bangladesh war, uh, there was another immediately the impact on the Kashmir activities, and Pakistan, who was defeated in 1971, became very aggressive in his approach towards Kashmir, and they started a jihad, that Islamic jihad. That means that they will try to give thousand cuts, and the Kashmir terrorism increased and went beyond Kashmir and entered in India. So much so, many important places in the country were bombarded. Bombay was bombarded number of times. Godhra was bombarded on the both sides. Then again, you find the parliament was affected badly, and so much so even there was a hijack of a plane. So this kind of environment, it created a discontentment in the minds of other side of the community also. And naturally, both the communities were not coming together, but rather going apart. There was a perception, and that perception was growing much faster when the internationally the jihad movement started. So every bomb set made in India or affected in India, or any mishap takes so in India, Muslims came in the in the kind of a suspicion. So it was quite natural perception, although it's not that everybody was responsible for that. There are only few handful people who can be considered as a terrorist. Those terrorist activities definitely has a poisonous effect. Result was that many leaders were born in the Islamic community who started giving very poisonous type of lectures and spreading hatred. And sometimes their lecture was so much extremist that they had been challenging um, the democracy or challenging the secular fabric of the country. So these were very dangerous for any country to accept those kind of statements. Anyway, this certain thing, in spite of the fact that these were anti-national, but these were not challenged because of reverses expected in political scene. Now, what happened further is that a kind of environment develops in such situations that the communities start making more and more demands, which becomes very difficult. Now, when the government comes with some sort of making the society improved, then there are restrictions imposed, not with the understanding that these restrictions are harmful to them, but just to oppose them because these are being propagated by an enemy country like Pakistan. Now, Pakistan started helping or giving a perception that whatever is happening in India, they are going to protect. They started talking on their behalf and started talking on behalf of many leaders who had been giving poisonous lectures and statements in violation of the democracy. Now, whatever they happen or whatever took place amongst the Muslims here in India, that was affecting the Pakistan and vice versa together. This created a situation where both the sides were suffering, and the Muslims, instead of getting a better recognition, and were always considered to be the part of Pakistan, and they started appreciating in their social gathering and social meetings, which was not acceptable to the other communities, that is the Hindu community and other communities like Hindu, Sikh, etc. Now, situation became tense. Now, when the idea, the object was to create that both the communities should come together and they should become as citizens and they should get the rights as a citizens from the democratic setup instead of getting their rights from their own religion. So the trend started in India that as and when there any situation comes of differences, they were expecting all their rights from the religion and not from the democracy or not for the sect or state or the fabric of the country. So was a responsibility which was breaking the fabric of the country, which was not acceptable. Some changes were made in the law, like CAA. This was challenged again by the Muslim community. Now the question does arise, any community which is a citizen of the country cannot draw their rights through their religion. Religion is a personal matter and the rights comes only from the democracy and from the constitution. Nobody has got a right more than what is provided in the constitution. The rights are equal and both the parties, whether it is the Hindus or whether Sikhs or Buddhists or Jains or Muslims, they get rights, they exercise the rights only where they have to also have the duties. The duties and rights go together. Now asking their rights and making the changes of their duties as per the laws of Islam, these are something which will not be acceptable. So this becomes a point of a tussle. So instead of closing, they are getting apart. So diversity get this unity became a dream. Now my point is, well, this is right what has happened or not, or it's wrong. Now what should be done? The important question, right, for the country as well as for the people is what should be done. There are a lot of brainy people in the country. Each one has got his own opinion also. I too have my own idea and I have also like to share my thoughts with you in my next video. So in the meantime, I thank you very much for hearing me. Please subscribe to it and share with your friends and relatives. Please take care. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful and great day.